Lots and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my Independence Report. For Monday. And there we are. Everybody's here, and we're all healthy and accounted for, and and life is good. So, ladies and gentlemen, how are you today, Natasha?
I'm doing really well, and I'm glad it's Monday in a way, and in a way I wish it wasn't.
You want it to be Friday already?
No, I just want to be able to just kind of be where my brain wants me to be and do what my brain wants me to do.
I see.
Yeah, how does somebody find the show if they want to tune in? Is there just is it different every week? They have to have the link we have to send them, or how do they? If someone just wants to find us, how do they do that? They go to YouTube.
They go to YouTube and go to either because it's going to her YouTube channel as well. Either Life Clarifications or My Independence Report.
Okay, but now,
So
tell me again now. So they go to YouTube and go to where?
Natasha Venter, YouTube, or My Independence Report.
Oh, just type in that. Like they type in clarifications, my clarifications, or my Independence Report, and then it'll be showing live at that time then.
Yeah, Natasha Venter is the name of my YouTube.
Okay.
So, but at 4 o'clock every Monday, people can jump on, and if you want to, you can, we've got a chat under comments that you can click on comments, and then you can chat with us live. Okay. If you have a question for Natasha, who's our gifted medium and life coach, or Regan, who is our gifted hypnotherapy, EFT, and a bunch of other stuff that you do kind of guy, or me, and I'll direct you where to go. I might even tell you where to go. But while we're here, I've got good news. I've got big news. Big news.
All right.
For my Independence Report, because I'm now going to be, my Independence Report will be live Monday through Friday from noon to 1, and then several days from 4 to 5.
Wow.
And I've got it all lined up, and I've got a gal who's a PR firm that I'm coupling with, and she's got her whole stable that we're gonna bring on one at a time. So.
Good.
Oh, congratulations!
Well, thank you. It'll be fun. It'll be fun for everybody, I think. It'll be good.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's a full-time job for you.
I got nothing else to do. I got COVID in my brain, so I'm just gonna sit here and try not to catch that silly thing. And
hey, you want me to show you? I'll show you what happened this week when I was daydreaming and I was cutting my hair. Wait a minute, I gotta go. Look at that. Oh, all bald right here. I forgot I had the number 5 on there, which I was doing, and then I took it off to do my side things, which gets all the way here. And then I was daydreaming, and I thought, oh, I think you get some more up there. So I went down like this and went shh, and all of a sudden I went, oh my God.
Do you remember that episode from Leave It to Beaver way back when in the 1950s when Wally cut his hair? That's what
I don't remember that.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
That's what kids do. But you know what? I just wanted to, for those that are starting to tune in and walking in on this conversation, I just want everybody to know, I feel like everybody, or that's what's out in the world, is like we're on this, like, almost spaciness of the after fact of all the stress we've been under with what is going to happen, how's it going to navigate, where are we supposed to go with that, and I love, Regan, how your head shows exactly where my brain has been this whole week. It was like, it was like rolling to one thing to another.
I saw when Trump had left, on this plane and everything like that. And then on TV, they were interviewing a few people. One of them was Ken Burns, who does all of these documentaries he's famous for, like on the Old West.
He did the Civil War.
Civil War. He's done so many. He's an amazing person. And he was just saying he said it was hard for him to get used to just feeling kind of normal for a little bit. You know, when Trump left, it kind of left this void. We have all this energy and everything going on. All of a sudden, he's out of the building, and whether you're for him or against, it's like just quiet, you know. And he said this is kind of what it feels like to be normal, but it felt strange. I felt that same way this week. You know, like I don't even hardly turn on the TV or the news now because there's nothing there to listen to. I guess I was kind of addicted to the craze that was going on, you know.
Oh, I think we all were. I know I was.
Yeah, and I think that we were all kind of almost getting numb and kind of into the theme of what was just happening, and it was like, okay, here's another thing, here's another thing, here's another thing, and then all of a sudden it's not there to fill in that void. And it's just kind of interesting how when we kind of ride with that new normal, you know, it's just interesting that new, like, you know, we don't know, kind of, you know, like my mother of heart says, you know, that's not in the dictionary, sweetie, but it totally fits where we're at right now.
Could you spell that for me, please?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I don't know. It's just this new normal of how to be. And I'm kind of almost grateful that we have this kind of breath to almost recenter ourselves if we can. Because, you know, that's what I think this whole COVID was to do, is to wake us up to what is our truth.
Yeah.
What is our truth? It's not necessarily what is the truth of our parents, what society's doing. And those of us that were kind of walking into the truth of what politics was, that's kind of gone. And we're kind of reshuffling a lot of that. And I know a lot of people are in grief because of the scenario of who, what, where, when is happening. And so with that, I just want to say that, you know, it's just a time to just breathe and kind of get ourselves centered again, because this 2021 is going to give us a ride if we're not ready.
Yeah. To me, it was like these people that for 3 days, their whole neighborhood was burning down, all these fires out here in California, and they had all this crazy going on and escaping and then staying at the gymnasiums where they had to all spend the night and listening to the news, and everything was crazy and they didn't know what to expect. And now it's like the day when the fire's gone and you go home to see your house, and it's just in shambles. And now we're just standing there going, now what do we do? You know? And that's why I think a lot of people like Biden's speech. They said it. I listened to it too, and it was really good. And it was funny. Here we have a leader up there talking about love and unity and let's get together and you know, whatever. And instead of somebody up there talking about himself all the time, it was like, wow, this is kind of like, you know, nice. You know, I mean, whether you believe in his politics or not, it's nice having somebody up there that's actually talking about the importance of unity and the importance of the United States that we have, you know. So it was, you know, kind of nice.
Oh yeah, well, it was a breath of fresh air. And by the way, Susan has joined us, and by the way, she has some advice for you, Regan. She says, always do your sideburns last.
Well,
makes perfect sense to me.
I actually did. I do them last. But then when I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh, there's a little bit back there I missed. So then I just went, you know, without thinking, you know. So yeah, sideburns last. I'll be more. So I asked my Patty had a friend of hers come over who's a hairdresser, and I showed her, and she just laughed, you know. And she said, because I said, should I just shave the whole thing off so it's all the same, you know? I'm all just kind of bald and it'll grow back. She said, no, just give it about 2 weeks. And then shave this part down to match that and let it grow back. So, but I was proud of myself because I just laughed. I'm in the bathroom and that happened, and I just started laughing hysterically. And I went, wow, that's pretty good. That's better than being all upset about it, because you can't do anything about it anyway. So,
Yep,
you
well, I'm
know.
glad that you had those options. See, some of us don't even have those options anymore.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like for me this weekend, I was changing my light bulbs because I just needed to change the energy, and there's a couple light bulbs out, so I just decided I would shift some light bulbs, and I dropped one. I went, oh well, I guess I need to sweep the floor too. It was like instead of getting caught up in the crumb blah, it was like I just kind of went, here I go again. It wasn't worth getting upset, and I hope that people can just kind of take that breath that's out there right now of it's almost like we're kind of in that between this and between that
Yeah.
energy, and
Yeah.
it's just
Right.
that what can I do to restart? How can I refocus? And that's why I was kind of told to do my class in February 9th, was because it was after everything kind of hit, so that we can kind of get our footing again to get moving again. And, it's just it's kind of one of those weird energies out there. What can we do? What can
Yeah.
we be?
Yeah, that's a good thing. I'm just even realizing today when we're talking now, there's a little melancholy or something that I have, but so
Are you sad the drama's over? That you can't go on the news and listen to a bunch of tweets and them arguing back and forth, because Biden's trying real hard not to be confrontational with stuff. He's trying to be more presidential, as it were.
Yeah, and I can see both sides. Some saying, "Hey, just let him go. Just don't do an impeachment and everything, and just move on because he's out of here now." That's a good way to look at it. And then the other way is, people have to be held accountable for their actions, and so it just depends on which school. They'll vote and decide.
That's why I'm grateful that we have the choice to vote.
Yeah,
Or that there is the vote, because it's not a one person's decision. It is about majority rules, and I think that that's where getting down to that personal choice. Do we have personal choices in this world? Well, yeah, in a way we do, and we're lucky. Because watching some of the news about Russia and having things happen there, that the guy who got poisoned because he had a different opinion came back into the country and now he's in jail.
I know.
It's just we're lucky to be able to have an opinion. And I'm grateful that we have even if our votes are true or not, that's to be heard or said. If we voted in someone or didn't vote in someone, that's yet to be heard or said, but yet at the same time, it is what it is. And it is where we're going with it.
Yeah.
And so the more that we can kind of just say, not necessarily, okay, I'm okay with this, but just saying that, okay, no matter what, this is my truth that's happening right now in this dimension. How can I negotiate it with the truths that I personally have?
Yeah. Yeah, and then we have to learn to be and realize what this democracy is. It means that everybody's not going to get their way 100% of the time.
I want my way.
Half the time, it's going to be the other side. We have to go by what they're wanting to do, but the alternative is just total craziness. That one party would take over another. I happen to watch on.
Kevin doing this is totally a great metaphor. I think it's a great metaphor because how unsettled are we inside of ourselves? And he's actually doing the representation of that, and even going sideways. Sometimes we feel a little sideways.
Help me! I'm about to fall out of my chair.
And I love synchronicity in life. I look at life and all the synchronicities and how much it just represents everything. The universe around us is going to show us things, and I just think it's amazing how when we can just kind of hold our breath and move forward, that sometimes we do find our way. And even if it's in that middle of rearrange, like me redoing almost half my light bulbs in my house because either they were getting too dim, one was out of three, and I didn't want to put one bright one on, and then three, two that were going dull. It's like you kind of have to sometimes find things to make it better. Like I put in one light bulbs and it was too bright of a clean light instead of the yellow light, because every yellow in the hallway were yellow lights. And so I had to take those out and settle that. And like with Kevin trying to settle himself, it's like sometimes things don't always come forth right away. Yeah. And that's the story of life. When we come into this world, we have this idea when we're writing our contract coming in of what things are going to be. And then reality is, like the metaphor of rearranging the camera, we got to kind of deal with what's in front of us to manage it. And it's not always easy. It's not always a strength. It's not always okay-ish sometimes to do it. I know Kevin's still not happy with what is, but he's kind of trying to figure out how can I do the rest of this scenario with the way it is, because that's what we're needing to do right now is not always be happy, but yet we can kind of find an inner, at this moment in time, I'm going to find grace with what is. At this minute in time, I'm going to find an inner grace with what is.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. I'm just trying to, to screw everybody up. That's all. It's like,
this week, it's funny how I guess I was just led to these things, but I ended up switching channels, and they were doing a special on cults and people being brainwashed by cults, and they had the Heaven's Gate people who all, committed suicide to go up to the spaceship, and the Jonestown people took the Kool-Aid, and Nexium or something like that, where I guess is the recent one, which was this guy was a motivational speaker, but it ended up being like a sex slavery thing or something, and like a pyramid, kind of scheme thing. And just seeing how, and they're showing these pictures, and you could tell these are all beautiful people that are there, and they're all just they're so into what that person is doing that they get their minds become controlled. That they'll drink Kool-Aid and kill themselves if the guy tells them to do it. But it just shows how fragile that our minds are and how easily they could be manipulated. By someone who has charisma. I think I've been to a number of Tony Robbins things, and they've been awesome, because he at least the ones I've been to, he that power he gets over everybody when you're there for like 10 or 12-hour days or 14-hour days, and it's, with the music and his energy and stuff like that, people get in a trance, and I remember I was one of the ones that walked on fire, and he because I was a hypnotherapist, and I was realizing he was using, hypnotic techniques to just get everybody up. And there was 9,000 of us, and 6,000 chose to walk on fire that night at like 11 o'clock at night in complete darkness. And we're in this, at the university, it's right across from where we were at the auditorium was USC, in the college in LA. And it was kind of a cool experience. I mean, just in this big crowd. I can't really see where the hot coals are we're going to walk on yet. And they had like 3 different things going down because there were 6,000 people doing this. And I was just observing people that were, when I could get, when we were 10 minutes away from it, I could start seeing and see people do it. And my mind is going, well, I watch them and they walk on the coals and they're on the other side and they look just fine. and Patty, she was just, nope, she didn't have any doubts at all. She's just going to do it. She's that positive person, And so she went first and I'm behind her, and I just go, well, here goes. And, we go about 20, I think it's about 22 feet. And they tell you ahead of time, they say, don't go real slow and don't run, because if you fall down, you're going to get all burned if you fall down in the fire, And you just go at this steady pace, and you just keep it up to steady pace, boom, 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 all the way across. But it's funny in doing that. It just shows you how we're so limited in our mind thinking about what we can do. And you do something like that, which seems to be like something, who would want to walk across hot coals? But you do it and you're unharmed. And he did that at the beginning of the training, just to get people's minds open and say, look what you can do. If you could do that, you could do anything,
So how much alcohol was involved for you to walk on coals?
Well, I guess none. but that was a cool thing. And at another training, people like Patty went to again, and I was there just supporting her. And they have you climb up like a 40-foot pole, and it's just it's about 6 inches on the top round. You have to stand on top of the pole, 40 feet down. Now you're harnessed, I mean, so nobody dies or anything like this, but just to climb up and stand on that and have that fear of falling and all that. And then you have to jump to a trapeze. There's a thing comes up and you have to be, just jump and catch the trapeze thing to go down. And so that was cool, just watching all these people do that and getting over their fears, So I guess they've done it about 1 million times, like the fire thing. They've had a couple of instances where people got burned bad. And the next day, a few people were showing their blisters. They had a few blisters on the bottom of their feet. But, so we're so much more powerful than we think we are. We put so many blocks and roadblocks in front of us and fears to keep us from, really being all we can be.
That's true.
So now...
And going through something like that, though, you almost have to come back to yourself.
Yeah.
It's like it's not about anything that somebody else has done. I mean, you can watch other people, but you have to really interact with yourself. Because like I did a group thing where, we went in the woods and we walked down a path by ourselves in the dark. And everybody was kind of like going, there's a boogeyman. Oh, and I just was like, phew, I didn't, because I had to trust myself. But at the same time, though, I could say that I used the same skills when my husband finally got sober, and I had to trust either he was gonna get sober himself, and we were gonna be a healthier relationship, or I was gonna have to leave him. But either way, I had to trust that I was gonna be okay. And that's coming back to thyself. And, like being in one of the, I went to a big auditorium and listened to one of the inspirational intuitive speakers. And, she got us up there dancing and stuff like that. And I looked around going, somebody walked in right now. What would their impression be of all of us following her?
Yeah.
And it made me think, am I doing it because I want to do it, or am I doing it because she wants me to do it?
Yeah.
And there's been a part of me, obviously, that kind of goes to that. Think about my own truth. Think about what I need to do. Even listening to my parents sometimes, I went,
Yeah.
And so right now, it's one of those things that we're really asked to shake up and really figure out. Whose truth are we really following? And a lot of us that are going through the grief process right now, I'm really sorry that that's happening with you, but grief is one of those greatest wakers to what is a truth. And I'm not saying that anybody's truth is the right truth. I'm saying a truth that we can live with.
Yeah.
And that truth that we can live with. And hopefully love is inside that, because according to what I understand, love is the truth.
Yeah.
That love has tough love has strong love has soft love has so many different facets to it, that it's the only truth. If we can guide our truth by that, we're going to be closer to the truth than we are going to be someone else's truth.
Yeah, I like what you just said, that, and what we all should be doing now, and what this should be teaching us, is that, we should always every day be saying, wait a minute, everything that I'm doing now, is that my truth, or am I espousing somebody else's truth that I don't even know if I really believe in? And all these motivational things, like when you go to, Tony Robbins has just been a plus. I've seen a lot of the people he's worked with and how he's helped and everything so far. It's very good. But you have to know that if you go to one of those things, you're going to be giving up some of yourself to that person, or that person is going to try to train you good. But then you have to, if it's somebody that you don't know, you got to be really mindful as you're going into the process and say, wait a minute, is this person taking over my mind? And if he is it for a good purpose? In other words, is he trying to help me reprogram myself in a good way or something in a bad way. Because I think there's a fine line there where you think you're in charge, and then pretty soon you're in this group consciousness. And well, just like the raid on the Capitol, see that's that mob consciousness. You know, there were a lot of people there doing things they didn't think they would be going down there to do, and they just were following along with everybody else, because you get sucked into that negative energy of some of the people that were pulling them into that. You know, so afterwards, I think a lot of people that went down there, you know, the Trump people that were good people, not there to be destructive. They just wanted to have their voice heard. And all of a sudden it became something different. And they had to feel really bad thinking, gosh, 5 people just died for what I did this last week and what I was part of, you know? And so they have a lot of, you know, they gotta, you know, really deal with all that too, because they were part of it, you know, even unintentionally, a lot of them, but, you know, a lot going on there.
No, you're right. But that isn't part of the problem, guys, that when we talk about what our truth is, and we tend to believe that other people are smarter than we are. And so that's why you believe Tony Robbins is such a, or he's such a phenomenal speaker and a phenomenal guy, and a motivational speaker. But aren't you as good as he? Would be my question. And if you find your own truth, you don't need him anymore.
Well, yeah, and that's why, like in the training I'm at now for this QHHT, I've been doing that all week. I've had since last week, about 10 hours of training. And I'm looking at these people there that are farther along than I am. So I'm looking up to them to teach me so that I can, like when they have these skills and I go, wow, they're doing some things here. Teach me what you're doing, because I can see you're being a little bit better at it than I am. And a
little different than you are doing.
Yeah. And so and so some of the stuff I go, no, that won't work for me. And the others I go, whoa, that's a nugget. That's a good thing there. So I've been really excited this week. I watched one session. There was a woman on there. She'd been to a past life before that was a horrible past life. And as part of the training, she allowed herself to go under again by someone who they're training, you know. So someone who's a novice was up there and put her under. And they did it on purpose for the shock value. And boy, was it shocking, because as the person who's reading the script, you know, and she's going under because she's been under a lot, it's easy for her to go under, are not watching her face, they're watching the script. And you could just see it coming. Like, you know, it's like, and the person's not watching, you know, we're all watching, that person's not watching. And then all of a sudden, I mean, it was the biggest scream I ever heard in my life. Like, oh my God. And the person's up there not knowing what to do. And finally someone had to kind of shout at him what to do. And she actually, when she went to this past life, when she came off the cloud, it's like what we have people do. They imagine themselves in a cloud, and the cloud pulls them back in time, and they come off the cloud, and 1, 2, 3, what do you see? Anyway, she came down, she was being burned alive at the stake, you know, for being a witch in another lifetime. And the screaming must have gone on. It's like, I mean, oh my gosh, I'm here at home and I'm doing it. And I can't. And they said the people in the room, just when she started screaming, just stood up. And when she came out, they finally, we got her calmed down and everything was okay. And when she came out of it in the question, she said, this can happen occasionally, and you have to know what to happen when people go into a past life. When they enter that past life, if they're entering at their death scene or something that's bad like that, then we're trained now how to get them immediately out of that. You know, we have to talk louder than them, and just to tell them, you're beyond that now. You're out of your body. You're fine. You're feeling no pain or anything like this. And they do that exactly when you tell them to do that. So, I had one person that was being nailed to a cross, and that was my first thing there. And luckily, I worked my way through it. But now I know how to do it even quicker. So. And
that's why I like watching and interacting and going and seeing people like Tony Robinson or interacting, because it's not necessarily that I trust them as a whole truth, but there's things that they do that I can add into my tool bag.
Yeah.
And so and then I can shift it to my tool bag, kind of like, people who are massage therapists, they go to massage school, and then they go to Reiki school, and then they go to this and they go do that, and then they get their own bag of their own truths and
Yeah.
and tools and navigate it, because we all kind of do that. And I just gotta say that, was it Sunday? No, Saturday. I woke up. I woke myself up out of a dream where I was being burnt at a stake. So I went back into a past life on my own, watching myself. I was up watching someone getting burned at a stake, and it was like I was wearing like the English wear. It was like in the back in the England, type of early times where it was the old wooden ships and witchery was not good and that kind of stuff. And I was a gentleman at that time, and I can see myself wearing those blue knickers, and the coats would kind of go out, and I was being burnt at the stake. It was like, I think I might want to go back to sleep and restart myself again.
Yeah.
So, it's like we all kind of go through these moments, but I just hope that whoever listens to this can kind of get a little bit more of idea on how to gain their own truth. That it is good to listen to people, these inspirational speakers, the motivational apps that there are, and do something, like I even do inspirational quotes on my Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, just to give people some hope that they can find just that aspect or perception to kind of give themselves something to get through the day, get through the moment, get another tool in their tool bag. It's like I suggest, try this mantra. I don't necessarily, this is the mantra you have to use. I suggest, try doing this mantra, see if it kind of shifts. Remember, you can add in a few of your own words. It doesn't have to be exactly the way I say it.
Yeah.
Because I want people to find their own truth. That's why I do the work I do, is because it's for me to support them, to move them forward onto their truth platform.
Can you give us some, can both of you or either of you give our audiences listening a few tips on how you can, is it meditation? Is it listening to these folks? Is it finding, listening to yourself, listening to your higher self? How do you advocate that people understand, get to be part of and understand their own truth? Anybody?
I think that when you start getting out of the head and more into that gut heart feeling, that when we start feeling more wholesome, more graceful, more at ease with ourselves, kind of like when I broke the light bulb, and it was like, oh well, I have to sweep the floor, I guess, because I was telling myself earlier I need to sweep the floor, but that wasn't one of my last things I wanted to do for the day, But instead of being in my head and my head telling me things, it was in my gut. It was more of a gut heart feeling that kind of just felt more settled about, okay. Or, like earlier when my husband said something that it didn't sit right with me, which that's called being in a relationship, and something set out, but it wasn't like my head was trying to say it. It was my being wanted to say it. And I didn't mean it with hatred. I said it with just, but it was that moment of that truth that came from my being more than it was my head or my words or, something outside of me that was trying to speak. It was more settled in me. And that's one thing that I always feel like, that every time that something feels right, it's like putting another piece into the puzzle of life. That when you're you find that piece in the puzzle, and it's like you go, oh, I found it, and your whole part of you feels joyful. I always kind of feel like when I'm finding a truth, it kind of feels like I'm putting a piece of puzzle in me somewhere, and it just feels like that, thank you, And I'm hoping that that can help, someone find theirs. Because I know that when I do like the mediumship or something, like doing the meditations, people go, "Oh God, that just, thank you. That just enlightens me. It lifts me up." And those kinds of truths do lighten you up.
Mm-hmm.
Regan?
Okay, then a practical thing here for those of you listening. If you download an app, it's one of the best meditation apps that they have. It's called Insight Timer. Insight Timer. And there's thousands of things on this meditation app that you can do. And one of the good things is there's a page on there that'll show you how many people are meditating at the same time that you're meditating. And sometimes there's like 250,000 people or more. And you realize that, gosh, there's 200 and something thousand people at this moment that are relaxing themselves and bringing out the best in themselves by meditating. And they have guided meditations on there, which are awesome. There's music on there. And there's a thing on it, it'll say, how much time do you have? You have 10 minutes, do you have half an hour? And then when you click on that half hour or hour thing, whatever it is, all the things that are that time-wise will come up on there. So if you want to do a quick meditation, like you want to do a quick 5-minute meditation before you take off to work, just click 5 minutes and you put your earbuds in and listen to a quick little motivational, from a spiritual perspective talk or something. And a lot of my clients, I give it to have it, even all my clients, I recommend it to because meditation is just when they studied meditation, I forget if it was Stanford or one of the universities or something, they came up with over 100 things, beneficial things when you meditate that happens to your body, to your, it's just good to do, so meditation is probably just the simple thing to do, and it'll change your life. My partner here, Patty, she's meditated every day now for over 1,000 days without stopping. There's a couple days where she a little bit, maybe it was after midnight, and then she go, "Oh, I didn't meditate today," and she would. I don't have that discipline, but she'll tell you because she's just like this all day. Go, 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 go. She's so successful at what she does, but she has to have time to deregulate, and to get to that deeper part of herself. So the meditation is work. I've watched her do it and I've just been amazed. I usually see meditation is a form of hypnosis. It's just slowing the brain down a little bit, and it seems as the brain waves in your brain spread apart a little bit, you see more of a bigger picture of things, because you're calm and relaxed, and in that state, you can think of things. That's why if you have a problem and you want to try to solve it, I would say, meditate for a couple of days, or even just go into meditation for a while, get your mind calm, and then bring your problem in and then quietly look for solutions or something, because you'll never find good solutions if you're going like this. You can't even think straight. You can't turn straight. So you got to calm yourself down first. So that's just a common sense, easy thing to do now. And meditation, even churches, they never, when you said the word meditation, if you were a Christian, it used to be new agey, but not anymore. Pretty much everybody knows that meditation is just, the benefit. Same with yoga. Yoga used to be a way far out there thing, but yoga is proved to have beneficial effects on the body, for your mental health, for your physical health. So it's nice that it's kind of gone mainstream now. Don't you think, Natasha, that with yoga and these meditation, it's pretty much mainstream now?
Yes, and I think I'm actually grateful that people are kind of coming in, because I've seen the difference when classrooms have quiet time. And I want to offer the word instead of meditation, because people get caught up in that word that I have to meditate, I have to slow down, I have to control my mind, there's all these expectations that go along with meditation. And I just want to say, quiet the mind. It's like, go for the walk, stand in the shower for a few minutes. Like my husband, takes 3-minute showers. And I'm like, how can you do any thinking? It's like, it's just that moment where, like for me, I may not meditate, but yet I do make myself available. Like I do try to take a breath before I get out of the car. I try to take a breath when I do get in the car. When I'm going from one thing to another, I meditate a little bit on just being where I'm at. That I look around the room and just breathe for a few minutes, and it's like, oh, okay. I become here where I'm at. And that's my focus, is to be where I'm at. And that helps me very much to listen to the universe. That I'm kind of, I would say, in a form of, I don't want to call it a meditation all day, but a form of availability all day. That I really try to set myself forward to where that it is about being where I am at. Like if I'm walking down the street and all of a sudden, a hummingbird flies by, I'll probably notice it more than not. It's like I take an observation view of what's happening more than just kind of running from one thing to another. So then I can really see, kind of like when I broke the light bulb. It was like I could see, oh, earlier I said I should maybe it would sweep the floor, and then, well, synchronicity. I guess I needed to sweep the floor. It was like, being in the moment of awareness in life is that form of, I want to call it meditation. And then sometimes you have to go quieter. Like before I go to bed and when I wake up, I try to really check in with my teams. Who's around me? What is there anything you want me to know? Is there something going on? I really try to give like a blanket time just to kind of, before I pick up my book to read for the day.
Yeah. Matter of fact, as we mentioned one time before, when I was in heaven and coming back, and I saw the earth below, and I had this teacher next to me, for me to keep myself centered, so that I could keep this connection to the other side. Three things, and one was to have a spiritual practice. Says every day do some sort of spiritual practice, even if you just wake up and you just acknowledge that you're more than this, and you just say, okay, angels, guides, whatever you're out there, I need your help today. Just acknowledging that is one thing. Do a little meditation. The second thing they said, to keep in a sense, to kind of keep part of yourself in heaven, or part of your higher self over there, was to just do random acts of kindness during the day. That every time you pick up someone else's trash, or you smile at someone that you ordinarily wouldn't, or hold the door open for somebody, or, tell the cashier, hey, thanks for being here today. For being one of the people at the grocery store that put themselves right on the front lines of getting COVID all the time. And here they are working for us. And we have to just say, hey, I really appreciate you being here, or, something like that. And the other thing was to spend more time in nature, go on walks, go on hikes. That sort of thing, and that those things kind of get you in your best self in a way. And when you're in your best self, you're more open to getting those whispers that your guides or angels are trying to guide you through the day. Because they tell you up there all the time that they're trying to help you all day long, but we're so blindsided that it goes right over our heads. And I think I told that story before. The time in my life that I felt the most open than ever, I went to an 8-day retreat and called Warrior Monk, and I got so into my true self that I had to sneak out of the compound to go. I wanted to go watch a movie and see some killing or something, because I was like, oh my God, I need to ground myself. My head is so expanded right now, and I felt so much like I was walking around in my soul self. So I talked to the gardener, and he gave me the key to the gate, or the code. So I went out, snuck out, and I went to a shoot 'em up movie. But I'm going down the freeway in the car, and I'm just floating in the car, And then I go into a 7-Eleven store, and there's a Sikh in there that's got his turban, And I know before I'd had this thing, there was this one guy I knew that was a Sikh, and every time I go in, he never looked at me, never said hi, whatever. And so I kind of had a little bit of prejudice, in a sense, going on in my head. So I'm buying something, all of a sudden he speaks to me, and then we start talking, and we start talking about, no one else comes in the store, and I'm talking to this clerk, and he's just saying how his mom taught him that any job that he has, just to do it like he's in heaven, you know, and just enjoy everything like this. And I walked out of the store going, that was unusual, you know. So I go get it. I buy a ticket at the movie theater, and the lady kind of stands up and whispers. She says, "Thanks for coming to the movie theater tonight." And I went, "Okay." And as I go to the front door of the movie theater, a person is not right at the door, runs up to the door to open it for me, and then she says, "Thank you for coming to the theater tonight." There's nobody else around really. You know, and I said, "Where's the popcorn thing?" And she says, "Oh, it's right over there." So I got the popcorn. And then I asked one, I said, "Where's the restroom?" She said, "Well, it's upstairs. Let me hold your popcorn for you while you go up to the restroom." And I'm starting to get it now that I'm in this mode now of accepting love and everything. And so everything that I do, I'm getting love. So I come back down. The person hands me my popcorn and Coke. I'm starting to walk over to go to the door to go in. Another of the persons who didn't even know what was going on ran across from the thing to open the door for me to go into the movie theater to go and sit down. So I sit there in the theater and I started to cry. Nobody else was around. And I was just, oh, it's getting to me now. I'm just realizing that when we get to that space where we have this open heart, then all of these gifts come, you know, all this love comes to you. But we quickly, and then I watched this movie, which was stupid, where I watched 100 people get killed, you know. and then went back to the compound for the last 2 days. But that was the same place that I found out that my true teacher. We did a meditation exercise with everybody in the room. We're lying down, and they did a guided meditation. I think I mentioned where we go up this mountain, and at the top of the mountain, we're going to turn around and see who our true guide is, who our true thing is. And of course, I'm thinking, am I going to see Jesus or Buddha or the Mahanta or whoever up there? And I go, God, whatever it is, I'm going to see. And when I got to the top and turned around, and I was face to face with myself, you know, and then the whole room of all these other people that were having the same experience. You never heard so much crying in your life, just wailing. And it was I never asked anybody what they saw, but I bet you they saw the same thing. And that's what I'm learning now when I take people the other side, is they merge with their higher self, you know, and that's a beautiful thing to see when they do that, because they become all knowing. They become like Solomon, you know, where they have the answers to all their problems. They can tell themselves what they're doing wrong. You know, it's just, I get goosebumps, you know. Anyway, don't mean to go on and on about that, but for me, it's true, you know, and that's why I do have a spiritual practice now, and I wake up the day and I just say, bless this day and those I serve, you know, as I keep one foot in heaven and one foot planted firmly on earth to accomplish my mission of being kind. So that's what I say when I get up. And I guess there's a couple of days this week I kind of forgot till midday, and then I had to go, oops, you know, oops, I'm not perfect.
Yeah, see, every morning I pat my body and I say, thank you. Thank you for waking up today. Thank you for digesting my life. Thank you for just, you know, it's like I've had a couple of nights that I didn't sleep real well this last week, and my body was working through things, and I'm like going, thank you, body. You know, just thank you, you know, because you process things that I deal with. And so thank you very much. And so that's part of my ritual is waking up and just being in the moment of being here with my body. And so, you know, those spiritual gifts of availability do help us to navigate through our day-to-day stuff, because a lot of us wake up and we're already 3 days ahead than what we are today. And so I know me patting my body kind of makes me make sure that I want to put on the clothes I want to put on today, and make sure I want to do what I want to do today, because it does help that process. And it helps us go through the stressors, you know, like I was really watching, you know, and part of this weekend, and the reason why I had a little conflict with my husband was my husband's co-worker, who is in the station right next to him, you know, he works at a Napa, so the station right next to him was tested positive for COVID. You know, and so we had to go into kind of a spontaneous lockdown and shut in, and he in his being doesn't do that well. And so I saw conflict in him, and I knew when I saw conflict in him, I couldn't have conflict in me. even though I was feeling comfortable because I did like 2 nights, I basically slept maybe 2 hours during the day. So I wasn't my better self either, but I knew that I had to be me so that I can be a good mirror of love for him. And doing that, it helped us work through those discomforts moments without building them up into great, big hadoos. They just were little hadoos, and we navigated through them, and we're better off for them because we've learned something through them. And that's the whole intention of a discomfort, is to say, why is this discomfort here? What is this here to teach me so that I can be my better self? And having that moment of being in that moment of asking that question does help us move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm just sitting here listening.
No, I know. And I was reading what Susan's been saying. She's been saying some really good things. Like she said, groups of all sorts never really resonated with me. I'm not really a joiner. Now I know why, because I'm supposed to know my own truth, my own inner truth. And then she says, when I've been in hypnosis, I've had experiences of saying, healing myself. Healing myself. There we go. Yeah. My dyslexia has been really triggered. I'm going through some big upgrades, so my dyslexia is triggered. So me and reading is not necessarily my strength right now. But
well, you did
I'm
fine.
I'm rolling with it.
You did just fine. So, anyway, so Natasha, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, we've been talking for an hour.
Already?
Again. Yeah, I know.
It comes so easily. But that's there again is that Regan and I both understand that a lot of what we're speaking is truth. It's a truth, so it comes to us so easily because we send it with love, and we send it with the intention that please make it your own, because it is about us helping you walk through your life, which is you tuning into what is your truth. Oh, I'll pick that piece, and I'll pick that piece, and I'll pick that piece. Just like, Susan, picked out that piece about not joining groups. And she became a little bit more of, oh, that's why that I don't necessarily do the thing that everybody else does, because it is about finding our own truth. And so if you're looking to find a truth to help you with your life, you can reach me at Natasha at Angelic Clarifications or angelicclarifications.com.
And Regan's got his right up in his. He's smarter than the average bear.
Yeah,
right.
I thought I'd put that up today because, on my website there's all kinds of videos on traditional therapy and spiritual therapy, and really some good videos on there where you can actually see therapy in action and what is going on. And of course, just to let everybody know, if we do have the ability now and the techniques that practically everyone in a deep state of trance, which most people can reach. They don't think they can, but about 84% now in my practice get to the level to where they can actually experience past lives and actually go where they go in between lives, which is heaven, and get questions answered, visit loved ones. It's just amazing. But it's just like if you get a reading from Natasha, or you have me help you with that, and a lot of it can be done on Zoom. Some can't, but a lot of even traditional therapy can be done on Zoom. And I deal mainly with fears and phobias and post-traumatic stress, and just teaching you skills that will help you to relax and to live a more calm life. So you can reach me. You can see it right there. Visit theafterlife.com. Any questions? Just let me know. There's a free book up there now about reincarnation that I wrote. That's about all the current research being done, and it's free for anybody that gets a hold of me on their website.
It's interesting because I didn't know what we were going to talk about today. Had no earthly idea, and yet what this thing and this new platform asked me to do is to put a picture up of just a small picture of what we're going to be talking about or whatever, and I just put up a picture of a lady meditating.
Yeah. Check out the insighttimer.com or Insight Timer app, and it can be a real nice thing to add to your life.
And that's one thing that I want people to understand too, is that the more closer you are to the truth of yourself, that love truth of that inner joy, that inner, I don't want to say joy is that hey, type of joy. It's that joy of just you know, that you're going to start seeing more and more synchronicities in your life. You know, you're going to notice that somebody pulls out of a parking spot when you're needing one. You know, you're going to start noticing that conversations just kind of come up with where you're at. Or you'll get in the car and all of a sudden a song will be on. Like the other day, I was practicing love in a new definition of just navigating through my day-to-day life, getting up at, you know, I needed to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday to be down someplace by 8:30. You know, it was like, so I was practicing love for myself. And I had like 3 songs come on the radio talk about love. You know, and it was like, it was interesting how there was just so much synchronicity in that day just because I had an intention of something that was on the more positive side. And so check in with those synchronicities, start paying attention, because that shows you when you're more on the, I don't want to call it right road, but righter road.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll start having more of these synchronicities that you'll soon realize are, you know, God's way of speaking to you. So, and they could become, they could become many. I've got a whole book I could talk about, and so does Natasha, I'm sure, about these little God sightings. And now it's funny. Sometimes I feel bad because they happen so often. They dismiss them. I mean, I go, yeah, thank you, and then I'm on, and I don't. Whereas before it would be like wow, what a miracle all day, and now they just happen all the time, you know. But it's nice because it makes you feel like, wow, okay, I'm doing okay. I'm getting some of those, and I'm connected, you know.
Have you noticed when you were somebody else's synchronicity?
Pardon?
Have you ever noticed when you were somebody else's synchronicity?
Usually,
you know, like when you pulled out when they needed a car space. And it's like, I love that moment of going, oh, look, I was somebody else's synchronicity. Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
You know, and then you know that you're on the other side of that scenario.
Yeah, there's a point a lot of times with the clients, and you just, there's an awareness there, and you go, it's no mistake that we're meeting for a session today, you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they get that too, and they just go, because of the subject will come up or something, and they'll go, oh my God, I just knew I needed to be here today, you know, and that makes you feel good that you know that you're both in that right place right then for whatever your soul needs for growth.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And sometimes I'm going to be honest with you that, or those that are listening, that those synchronicities sometimes aren't always graceful. Sometimes they are like me, Regan shaving part of his head for vulnerability. You know, like one time I couldn't find my makeup and I was going to a class. And for me, the synchronicity was I couldn't find my makeup. Well, as I was driving there, I noticed that there was a guy who was on the side of the road with his hood up with no shirt on. It was the summertime, no shirt on, you know, and I was like, oh, I get it. Vulnerability. I'm supposed to be vulnerable so I can be in the awareness of taking my face off so I can be who I'm supposed to be, you know, my truer self. And it was like, I get it. You know, it's like that whole stripping down type of thing of just strip off what you normally do so you can be more vulnerable. And you know, so lessons of synchronicity sometimes aren't on the positive side, but they're not to be hurtful. They're to kind of give you that opportunity to be more awakened in the moment.
I thought when you passed by that guy that was by the side of the road that he was putting on makeup or something.
No.
And you were going to borrow his makeup. That's kind of what
No.
And Regan, I appreciate you shaving part of your head just so that you and I could be like brothers. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, you know, respect for the Buddhist monks when I went to this 8-day retreat, and I found out why they shave their heads, and it's so when they look in the mirror, it reminds them of their vows. You know, it's like taking the makeup off, you know, kind of thing.
You did say vows, not bowels, right?
Yeah. It could be both, that kind of day.
So Anyway, I've enjoyed today immensely. Natasha, tell us how to get a hold of you again.
You can reach me at www.angelicclarifications.com or Natasha at angelicclarifications.com is my email.
And if you're going to do a Life Between Lives with Regan, number one, I suggest you pack a lunch because it's going to take about 5 hours to do.
Yeah.
But it is the most extraordinary experience that you can ever have. It really is. So I highly suggest it. One of these days I'm going to fly down there and have you do another one for me.
Yeah. Oh, and I just, in closing, some people are going to, of course, I'm getting used to this now. I had my first client on the other side in the council. The council member that was talking to him was a gray alien.
Mm.
And this was interesting. And the first thing my client said when she's under says, "Oh," he said, he's nice. He's friendly. My client didn't want me to think that this is something scary or anything, you know. And so, you know, we find out that these council members kind of show up, you know, they could be anything, you know, the way that they show up, but they always show up in some kind of form that the other person needs. And that other person said it was neat. She said, "I just have no fear anymore." And that was a very wise, evolved, but he was showing up to her as a gray alien. So that was kind of interesting, different.
Oh, that's cool. You know,
we're just doing research here, so it's writing down what happened.
And what we find is that there are. I said this to my mother one time, and she thought, "I'm going to have you committed now. Now I'm going to have you committed," because I said we're aliens as well. Yeah, and there is no indigenous people here. That we are all from somewhere else. We are liable to go someplace else. So this life, you could be a human. Next time, you could be a gray. Depends on what you want to learn for yourself.
And that's what we're finding out.
Because we're all one.
We are all one.
The other session that I saw this week, he wasn't in bodily form. He was in spirit form, and he was traveling at what he called infinite speed through the galaxies. He was with some other souls, and they were picking up on planets that were ready to go to the next step in evolution and their spiritual unfoldment. And when they found a planet that was ready that way, then they would go down in, not in bodily form, but somehow in spirit form, and which we didn't get into and how they do it. But he said that was the coolest thing in the world, is to be zooming by all these planets and everything like this and just feeling so free and in his total energy state, which is just like a spirit form, you know.
And he was with a bunch of other people?
Well, he could just feel like a team, you know, zooming through the galaxies and everything, looking for places where they could impart wisdom.
See, that's the job I want to have. I want to be a spiritual bus driver.
Well, you were. Didn't you know that half the people that were on your bus were from another country or another planet?
Oh, yes, I did know that, as a matter of fact.
Men in Black, you know, it's coming truer and truer.
Indeed.
The biggest thing people can learn by having a Life Between Life session is that you come back realizing we're all one, and there's no such thing as prejudice. There shouldn't be.
Yeah.
We look at anybody any different than ourselves, you know. So I think that's that in itself is great. People realize, you know, we're just playing these parts in these different colored bodies down here for different reasons. But when we leave here, we're all the same, you know, all part of God.
I was talking with a gal. She's the PR gal I was talking about, and she has a client that is in North Carolina. She's an African American lady, and she sent her a message today that when something like this, she said, I don't know how I'm going to continue because nobody believes me. The white people don't accept me, and I can't do. And the gal from Toronto in Canada is where she is, and she goes, it's not really like that down there, is it? It's like, oh, well, yeah, it is. It is very much like that, and because we're not as involved or not as evolved as we should be, understanding that we are all one, and color makes not a bit of difference.
Yeah.
It's who you are.
Yeah, look, people, if they went this week, think about all the all their dirt that's come up within themselves when they witness all the dirt with all the thing with the political situation, and it's really exposed our prejudices and where we need to do some work, and then think, what can you do because the only thing we can really do is work on ourselves. I mean, it's ourself. We work on ourselves, and everything else will be okay.
You can't fix anybody else, and like Ron White would say, you can't fix stupid. Anyway,
yeah,
that's just me.
No, and I want to add something on. I mean, I know it's been time to go here, but there's a lot of places where, and I'm gonna say on some of these, like places where some of these people live. The big apartment systems that these people live in, and there's certain places on the earth. Like I go down to Mississippi, and I can just feel that the earth is so stagnant. That it's just, it almost has timestamps where it's just so embedded in the earth, and no matter how much you would till the soil, that pain and that ache would still be there. But what it does is it takes us humans on top of earth to shift the earth's energy. And the more of us that can become more, I don't want to say enlightened, but in the knowing that we are greater than just ourselves, that it is about moving forward. And it's going to take a lot of work to get some of these places that have so much hatred and so much ick that are in the walls, in the paint, and in the buildings, that how much smudging can we really do to move this all forward? And
yeah.
It's going to take a lot of that energy work to shift, because the saying goes, love is the only thing that can conquer over hate.
Yeah.
Both of them can't be in the same space and time. It's just, and gratitude is the quickest emotional changer than any other thing that on this earth. If you're angry about something and you step into gratitude, it's hard to be angry anymore. It's one of the quickest changers. And so if we can just start sending gratitude to those places and those people who are willing to be who they are in those moments, and send love and healing, sometimes we can help these people who are trying to do better in these places that are just filled with
dare I say, hate, division, and fear.
Mm-hmm.
Division and fear, right.
That's the biggest problem, is they are fearful. They're fearful of the future. They're fearful of their fellow man. They're fearful, and when you have that's fear is next to, in my opinion, is next to hate, and they're really close to one another.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be careful. So in any event, by the way, Natasha and Regan, this particular format does allow for 10 people to get on here at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And to do video. So if your partner would like to come on, she sounds like a very interesting gal and an enlightened being.
Yeah, he'd love her.
And same thing, Natasha, if Susan or somebody else wants to come and actually show their pretty face, we can do that too.
Okay.
I would love that.
She might
and
be available.
We missed my husband by 2 hours. He got the okay 2 hours ago, and he was says, I got to go to work. He couldn't play golf, so he decided to go to work.
He wanted to get out of the house and go to work. That's God rest his soul. Bless his
no,
soul.
he's such a gifted man. He knows that the person who was taking his place, wears many hats, and so she couldn't do the next hat exchange with him being him being the manager. She had to take the place, so he wanted to do the better thing, and he's got integrity, and so he tried to do the better thing and release her.
Good for him. Regan, any last words before we go?
Okay, anybody listening out there, do something extra nice for someone you love tonight.
There you go. Natasha?
Start love by looking in the mirror and being kind to yourself.
Very good.
Because if we start doing that, life gets a whole lot easier. But it's one of the hardest things for us to personally do.
You know, I think I like Susan. She's got a good sense of humor. She says,
She does.
I'd have to put on clothes and brush my hair and teeth. Yep. Well, you don't have to brush your teeth because we can't smell your breath. But, you know, everything else you need to probably do. So, all right. Well, you guys, now here we go. I've got something brand new to show both of you right now. Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other because each other's all we've got. See you next time on My Independence Report.